Late into the 1700s, the Native American population in the Central Valley had grown to over 100,000 people, representing dozens of tribal organizations. The fertile San Joaquin Valley included wide meadows and marshlands that provided an abundance of food, allowing members of the Yokut, Miwok, and Mono tribes, the largest in the valley, to live a life of culture, a peaceful existence based on a harmonious relationship with the land. Native Americans were the original environmentalists, burning excess plant life and keeping careful balance of animal populations. Through the establishment of boundaries, settlements, and a trail system, the Indian population didn't just survive off the land, they thrived. In the 8,000-year history of Native Americans in the Fresno area, the Indian population lived well. With oak trees providing acorns, local Indians developed a process that extracted the bitter taste and pounded acorn meal into flour for bread, a main staple of an Indian diet. The many lakes and streams provided an ample supply of fish, deer, rabbit, and game birds. Life was good for Native Americans in the mid-1700s. Local Indians were also talented artisans, weaving beautiful baskets from natural material for sifting, harvesting, and cooking instruments, as well as infant carriers, water holders, and decoration. Indians were incredibly resourceful. Their handcrafted baskets are considered to be amongst the best in the world and are on display at the Sierra Mono Indian Museum in North Fork. The San Joaquin Valley Native Americans' lives were filled with an abundance of food sources, sacred practices, basic peacefulness, and little adversity for the time. However, in 1772, everything changed. The lives of the Yokut of the valley, the Mono of the mountains, and the Miwok of the Yosemite region had been severely damaged during the Spanish and Mexican occupation of California. The Indian population was reduced by over 50%, and the survivors weren't much better off. In 1848, gold was discovered at a sawmill construction site in the foothills of the Sierra Nevada. And within 1 year, a horde of 100,000 gold seekers descended on the Central Valley with catastrophic results. The Indians had a precisely balanced relationship with their food supply. Soon after the American arrival, the serious depletion of that supply began to occur. Mining operations destroyed fish dams, and the American landowners took over huge amounts of farming land. But the bigger impact was the Americans' total disregard for Indians as human beings. Wanton killings and violence against Indians trying to save their land developed into a deadly pattern. Vigilante-type parliamentary groups were established, whose goals seemed to be killing Indians and kidnapping their children to be used as slaves. Within the first 2 years of the gold rush, over 2/3 of the Central Valley Indian population was murdered, thousands were enslaved, and the survivors teetered on the brink of total annihilation. By 1850, the California legislature had eliminated the Indian right to vote and passed the Act for Government and Protection of Indians, which set the tone for Indian-white relations to come. Among other things, the act allowed whites to obtain control of Indian children and stated that in a court of law, no white man shall be convicted of any offense upon the testimony of Indians. The Americans also established the San Joaquin River and Fresno River Indian farms, where captured chiefs and other Indians of stature and supposed threat would be put into exile. Of course, serious unrest and wars involving San Joaquin Indian tribes ensued. In 1851, the Miwok of Yosemite battled a Mariposa battalion in the Mariposa War. The Tulare War of 1856 introduced the Yokut of the Valley to the Americans' new weapon, a howitzer borrowed from Fort Miller on the San Joaquin River. And the Owens Valley War of 1862 and 1863 affected many Mono, Miwok, and Yokut. This was a grim period for the San Joaquin Valley Indian tribes. The gold rush introduced them to the white man, and battles that killed thousands of their fellow tribesmen. But at least they could see them coming. That wasn't the case when it came to the Americans negotiating treaties with the natives.